everyone, and welcome to Team NORDIC's presentation of microloans and the Grameen Bank. So for today's presentation, we're going to first be looking at what is the definition of microloans. So what is a microloan? Who usually gets them and who is in charge of giving them? We'll also be taking a quick look at the history of microloans. So we'll discuss what circumstances first brought them about, then how they've acted as solutions to many of the global economy problems, and the original intent behind them, and then what they ended up being later on. After that, we'll look at the two-sided story of what microloans are. They are not all positive. They also have their cons. So we'll see examples of how they've been a hindrance to the economy, as well as how they've helped. And we'll also see why microloans are not just the cure-all that people once believed that they would be. And finally, we'll look at the state of microloans in today's economy. And that includes the role of the Grameen Bank in improving their ability to bolster the economy rather than inhibit it. Regarding the Grameen Bank, we'll give you a run-through of their general goals, the methods they use to achieve those goals, and some of the success that they've had in order to offer a quality example of how microloans can be successful today. So, without further ado, let's take a look at microloans.
As Katie mentioned, in this final presentation we are going to cover the microloans tools. A microloan is a tool used by institutions in order to provide loan for people who can't usually afford it. It is part of the development policy set by governments, which aim to reduce the level of poverty and to sustain the individual fundamental rights for individuals. To talk more about microloan itself, it is a loan which is worth less than $1,000. Let's discuss more about the background here. Microloans have been created 150 years ago by some cooperative banking institutions. The purpose behind this idea is very simple. It's to create business opportunities for small entrepreneurs. Because before, if you had no securities, you wouldn't get no loans. If you get no loans, you don't have any solution and no business opportunities can be created. And at the end, it makes the market even more efficient, as everyone can potentially enter the market because they had some capital thanks to this bank tool. Here you can see an example of a farmers, for instance, of the poorest countries, who thanks to this microloan solution, can get money to buy his seed, and with this seed, he can be more productive, and then he can be profitable on his business. If I had to summarize microloans with only 3 words, it would be facilitate small investments. On this slide, you can see the pros and the cons of this microloans solution. Let's start with the pros. As I've been saying, microloans are, on paper, a great solution because it helps people who need to be helped to have some business opportunities. Indeed, there is a great possibility for the poor people to make some reasonable investments in order to reach their business potential. It makes microloan a good complement to development aid. However, on the other end, with the cons, the solution is only good on paper, because we can actually question the measurable development impacts of this bank tool. The studies have shown that actually there is no real improvement when it comes to poverty reduction, but in income growth as well, and in creation of employment, which were actually the goals at the very beginning of the creation of the tool. Even worse, actually it just makes the situation even worth for people who subscribe to this bank tool, because they will need some new loan to pay off the old loan, the microloan that they just subscribed. To put it into perspective, in India in 2010, people literally burned themselves out of desperation. And it's very hard to handle for poor people, because if they don't have any business experience, they can't manage the business well. And if you add to this that they have to refund an excessive and abusive interest rate, it just cannot work, and people would just find themselves in a vicious cycle they can't get out of. So what is the very situation today? Today, the big profit-oriented banks have entered the business, as it turned out to be very profitable. As you can see, as the total volume per year, the market is worth $60 billion per year, which is huge. And it is huge because the interest rates implemented on the markets are not fair for individuals. You can see three kinds of interest rates here. First one being a fair one, set by the Grameen Bank, which we are going to discuss later on, which is about 20%. On the other hand, you have very unfair interest rates, more than 100%. And for the whole industry, the average one is 37%, which remains quite high, and almost double of a fair rate of interest, which was 20%. What can be done in order to renew this tool? First, if you want to renew it, you have to regulate the whole market and the whole microfinance market. By doing this, you will have to standardize the interest rates, because as we just saw, this is just excessive. On the other hand, you should provide intensive care and support to the individuals who subscribe to this solution, and this solution should not be just on its own, but complemented by other instruments. And finally, to renew the whole institution, you should increase the transparency in order to make people know what it's really about, what will the solution be if they subscribe to this tool. And you should really put some disincentive for institutions who are just here to make profits on poor people, desperate people back.
Now let's take a look of a successful case study of microfinance system in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has faced a huge gap between the rich and the poor for quite some time. In 2018, the World Bank published the Poverty and Shared Prosperity 2018 report. It mentioned that Bangladesh is home to 24.1 million extremely poor people who earn less than $1.90 per day. Now, seeing this huge gap in the country, a Bangladeshi economist from Chittagong University, Professor Muhammad Yunus, he realized that there must be something terribly wrong with the economics he was teaching, and decided to take matters into his own hands. In 1983, Professor Yunus formed the Grameen Bank, which means village bank. The bank based its system on trust and solidarity. The bank offers small loans to people in impoverished communities without requiring collateral. Carrying on Yunus' idealism, the bank works to improve the lives of other people who need extra help with their business goals. The Grameen Bank achieved numerous success stories along its journeys, from Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 to projects in 58 countries. Almost 9 million borrowers in over 81,000 villages contribute to the Grameen Bank's success stories. 97% of the borrowers are women, and the bank has paying back rate of 97%. Thanks to its methods of actions, which was based on its core principles, the Grameen Bank manages to achieve all these success stories. Now, what are those core principles actually? First, find the problem rather than a solution. Adopt a progressive attitude. Make sure that the credit system serves the poor and not vice versa. Establishes priorities for action vis-a-vis to the target population. Serve the most poverty-stricken people needing investment resources who have no access to credit. At the beginning, restrict credit to income-generating production operations freely selected by the borrower. Make it possible for the borrower to be able to repay the loan. Lean on the solidarity groups. Associate savings with credit without it being necessarily a prerequisite. Combine close monitoring of borrowers with procedures which are simple, standardized as possible. Do everything possible to ensure the system financial balance. And lastly, invest in human resources. The Grameen Bank has 16 goals they wish to impress on their borrowers. Some of them include drinking clean water, helping as a collective community, cleaning the environment, no dowries, and so on. Now to conclude our topics this time, let's hit a quick recap. Microloans focuses on business idea and a sustainable concept. It works mostly for smallest businesses and underrepresented audience. The market for microloans is now large and complex. Despite the fact that microloans are not a panacea as expected, it is still considered as a good complementary instrument for the development cooperation. Now when we coming to Grameen Bank, the bank gives microloans to the impoverished to help them with business ideas. While the bank system itself believes in trust, hard work, and courage. We're hoping you're enjoying the presentations, and thanks for watching.